In the heart of Lagos, a city that throbbed with the pulse of commerce, innovation, and ambition, Chief Obi Ekenechukwu stood as one of the most respected and influential businessmen. A titan in a world where wealth often dictated influence, he had built his empire over several decades, with investments in energy, banking, real estate, and even venture capital. By the time he was in his 60s, his company, STELLA Group, was worth billions, making him not just a symbol of wealth, but also a beacon of success and modernity in a rapidly evolving Nigeria. Chief Obi was not born into privilege. Growing up in the modest suburbs of Nsukka, Enugu State, his story was one of grit, determination, and foresight. He had left home at a young age, armed only with ambition and a keen sense of the potential he saw in Nigeria's future. His early investments in oil exploration during Nigeria's oil boom in the 1970s had paid off handsomely. Over the years, he diversified his wealth into industries that included renewable energy, technology, and financial services, proving himself to be a man of both vision and pragmatism. But despite his astronomical wealth, there was one aspect of Chief Obi's life that was incomplete. His beloved wife, Nneka, whom he married in his early 30s, died tragically during childbirth. The event had left him devastated. It was only the birth of his daughter, Stella, that helped him emerge from the depths of his grief. Nneka's death had been a painful reminder that even with all the money in the world, there were things that no amount of wealth could control. Stella became Chief Obi's world. He doted on her, but not in the way that many wealthy parents did with their children. He did not shield her from the realities of the world. Instead, he raised her to be independent, confident, and fiercely intelligent. From a young age, he took her to business meetings, teaching her how to negotiate, strategize, and understand the nuances of running a company. For Chief Obi, it was not enough that Stella should inherit his wealth, she needed to understand the secrets that had made him successful so she could build her own legacy. Lagos, with its sprawling urban jungle and its ceaseless energy, was both a challenging and enriching place to grow up. Stella attended one of the finest international schools in Lagos, mingling with the children of other wealthy business leaders, politicians, and expatriates. But despite the privileges her father's wealth afforded her, she was never complacent. Chief Obi had instilled in her a work ethic that set her apart from many of her peers. At school, Stella excelled in both academics and extracurricular activities. She was the prefect of her class, captain of the basketball team, and a natural leader. However, what truly fascinated her were the business ventures her father exposed her to. As a teenager, instead of spending her vacation at luxury resorts, Stella would intern at different departments within STELLA Group. She worked in HR, marketing, finance, and even as an assistant to her father during his international business trips. By the time she graduated secondary school, she had a deep understanding of how the company operated. After secondary school, Stella attended Harvard University, majoring in economics. Her time in the US further broadened her worldview. She immersed herself in the latest technologies, learned from world-class professors, and interned at some of the top tech firms in Silicon Valley. While her friends were focused on enjoying their college years, Stella was already planning how she would revolutionize her father's company with new innovations and strategies. During her time at Harvard, Stella's understanding of global markets became deeper. She realized that Africa, and Nigeria in particular, was poised for an economic revolution. With a young population, increasing tech startups, and untapped potential in renewable energy, the continent was ready for growth. She was eager to return home and apply what she had learned to help her father's company evolve and adapt to the changing global landscape. By the time Stella returned to Lagos after her graduation, STELLA Group was flourishing, but Chief Obi's health was declining. He had always been a strong, imposing figure, but years of stress and constant travel had taken their toll. In his late 60s, Chief Obi knew that it was time to start thinking about succession. He had always envisioned Stella as his successor, and despite some resistance from the company's board, he was determined to prepare her to take over. Chief Obi spent the next several years closely mentoring Stella, ensuring that she knew every facet of the company. They spent hours together, reviewing financial reports, discussing market trends, and debating future strategies. But more importantly, Chief Obi shared with her the true secret of the company's success. His business empire was not just built on numbers or assets, it was built on trust. Over the decades, he had forged strong personal relationships with clients, government officials, and other business leaders. These relationships had allowed him to secure lucrative contracts, navigate political instability, and weather economic downturns. Chief Obi taught Stella that running a business was not just about making money, it was about understanding people, building alliances, and creating value for everyone involved. This was the secret that had made Skytech Group successful, and it was a lesson that Stella took to heart. She began to build her own network, developing relationships with young entrepreneurs, tech innovators, and international investors. Stella's forward-thinking approach, combined with her father's old-school wisdom and years of experience, positioned her to lead the company into the future. But as Chief Obi's health worsened, tensions began to rise within the company. The board of directors and shareholders, a group of mostly older men, were not keen on the idea of Stella taking over. While they respected her intelligence and her accomplishments, they could not shake their traditional beliefs that a woman, especially one so young, could not run a billion-dollar conglomerate. Behind closed doors, they whispered and questioned whether she had the gravitas and lordiness to lead. Chief Obi, however, had no doubts about his daughter's capabilities. He made it clear that Stella would inherit the company, and he included this in his will. But as his health declined further, the board began to plot. They were determined to prevent Stella from taking over, even if it meant betraying the wishes of the man who had built the company from the scratch. When Chief Obi passed away, the entire country mourned. He had been more than just a businessman, he was a philanthropist and had been a symbol of what Nigeria could achieve. His generosity and philanthropy nature has helped a lot of people, ranging from the sick, building hospitals, giving scholarship, among many others. His funeral was attended by political leaders, business moguls, and celebrities, all of whom spoke of his vision, his generosity, and his impact on the country. But behind the scenes, a battle for control of Skytech Group was brewing. The board, led by a man named Chief Adewale, had already begun to undermine Stella. They claimed that the company needed stability and experienced leadership during this time of transition. Despite the clear instructions in Chief Obi's will, they insisted that Stella was too young and inexperienced to run such a vast empire. They used every excuse they could find, ranging from her gender to her age, her lack of experience, to justify their decision to oust her from her rightful place as CEO. When the final vote came, the board voted unanimously to block Stella from taking over. Even Chief Obi's longtime lawyer, who had been entrusted with executing the will, had been bribed to support the board's decision. Stella was devastated. She had spent her entire life preparing for this role, and now, in her moment of grief, she was being betrayed by the very people her father had trusted. With no legal recourse, and with the entire board aligned against her, Stella was forced to walk away from her father's company. The betrayal was a bitter pill to swallow, and as she left the boardroom for the last time, she vowed to prove them wrong. Despite the heartbreak, Stella did not wallow in defeat. She had learned too much from her father to let this setback define her future. Determined to carve her own path, Stella decided to start her own company.